Alright, so again, this is vertex form, and vertex form, so again, what's happening to A?
Vertically stretching.
It vertically stretches as A gets what? Bigger. Okay, what happens when A gets smaller?
Vertically compressing.
It's a compression. So I'm smushing it down, right? What happens when A is 0?
Undefined?
It's not undefined.
Zero. Value? Zero?
No.
It's
No.
a horizontal line. It's a horizontal line, guys. It's not a trick question.
So A makes it like stretch on the Y, and then H is on the.
Almost. H is, right, we're getting there.
Wait, so which one are you on?
We're on A. So when A becomes negative, what happens?
It goes upside down.
It comes upside down.
And that's called a what?
Vertical.
A what? What's the R word?
Reflection.
A reflection over the what axis? There we go. Okay? So I'm going to reset my A to 1. So my A is reset. Okay? Now we're going to look at H. So what do you recall that H causes my function to do?
Left or right?
It causes it to translate left or right. So if H gets larger, it goes to the what?
Right.
And as H gets smaller, it goes to the
Left.
Okay. Notice with my parent function, it starts off with a minus, right? So my function starts off with a minus. So when I go to the right, it may appear that my function should go to the left, but it started off with a minus. So that's why this is a positive 1. This is a positive transition. So that means I'm going to the right. When I go to the negative, it turns to a positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. So that's why it looks like a transition to the left, because I had to change my negative into a
So
positive.
Sometimes it'll be x plus h.
Huh?
Sometimes it'll be x plus h.
Yes. And x plus h means that I was shifted to the left. Whereas x minus h means I was shifted to the right. Okay? So then what's with k? What does k do? Up or down. So k is true to what it looks like. If I increase k, my function goes up. If I decrease k, my function goes down. There's no trick to k. K is as good as it gets. Okay? This is called vertex form because h and k, whatever they are, represent my x and y of my vertex. So if h is 1 and k is negative 1, then my vertex is. Okay? Got it? Any questions about vertex form? Perfect. So then we're going to go on to factored form. Alright, so in factored form, here's the parent function. And when I'm in factored form as parent function, my a equals 1, my r equals 0, and my s equals 0.
What?
Should we change yours to you?
Yes.
So I need to go to 1, 0, 0?
Mm-hmm. So this is the parent function. We agree? You're clicking the arrows? You use your mouse? Click, click, click.
Seriously?
I have like 3 different graphs on this. No?
Okay, Carl, I don't know where you are.
I don't know where I'm at either.
Oh my god, I pressed it too many times.
Carl, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Alright, Carl, I'm going to need you to hit escape.
Escape.
Oh my
Is that Carl?
god.
And I'm going to need you to go to my documents.
This is fine.
And I need you to go to your period.
You have a period?
Click on it. And then go down.
69.
Go down.
Going to negative.
Go down. Why do you have so many documents, Carl?
I don't know.
Alright, there you go. Vertex in factored form. And no, no, no.
Is there a way where I can just select it?
We're getting Carl caught up, guys. Slowly but surely. It's thinking.
I'm on the money team.
Now, Carl, hit control left and right. Hit control first. And now hit control there.
Ah, now I'm with
You're on the boat.
There I am. Hey.
All right. Carl is back with us, guys.
Welcome back to the dark side.
All right.
I'm trying to
Everyone's good now? So now can we talk about it? All right. In factored form, your vertex is not something that's given to you easily. Okay? Your vertex is something you would have to find. Obviously, our vertex here is what? 0, 0. And the reason why we can easily see our vertex is because our vertex in this situation is also our what? Not origin. Well, 0, 0 is the origin, but it's
Like your main
my intercept.
that.
Which intercept? X and Y. It's both of mine. So therefore, in this form, I can see it. But however, when I start changing R, and R is now 3,
I think I
my vertex is different, correct? Yes, my vertex is no longer at 0, 0. My vertex is now at,
Hey, what is it?
it looks like 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 1.5, negative 2.5,
It's something.
somewhere in there.
Control T. That's
Okay, so here, when I'm here, now this is the importance of factored form. Factored form, oh, I was right. Factored form tells me my intercepts. It tells me my x-intercepts. So when I look at
Why is it that when I click the S, it compresses?
S,
Mm-hmm.
S shouldn't compress. It's not compressing, it's moving. It looks like it's compressing because we only see part of the graph, but it's not compressing. It's just being moved. Okay, so these are my intercepts. So whatever R and S are, that's my intercept. So if S becomes -1, my other intercept is at
1.
-1. Because my apparent function starts off as what? Minus. Okay, the other thing is here, when you have this, if I'm looking for, what's another word for x-intercepts?
zero.
Zeros. So if I'm not sure what it is, that means I would take each factor and set it equal to 0. So if I set x minus 3 equal to 0, what would x have to be in order for that to be true? 3. And what is my x-intercept?
-1.
What's the other one that makes sense to what you just said? 3. If I have x plus 1 and I'm trying to find my 0, I'll be x plus 1 equals 0. So what would x have to be? -1. And it's right there. Okay? Do you understand how that works? All right, are there any questions? What do you think A is still going to do?
Go up and to the top.
It's going to still cause me to compress and stretch.
So basically, the first number right there is A, and
Give me a
the number in the Y is H, and then the other one is the other Y.
No. These numbers are your x-intercepts, whereas H and K are your vertex. So here, H and K determines my vertex.
Yeah, I didn't know there, but I'm talking about the bottom.
Down here?
Yeah.
So down here, R is my 3, and S is my -1.
Basically, the Y is
The Y is right here. So this is with X. These are just constants. They can be changed. F of X means Y. So that's what F of X is representing, is my Y. Okay? All right, so we're going to start our Cornell Notes over it.
Yes.
Here's
Money
my...
team.
Are you
Actually,
jealous of my notes,
Turn
Carl?
your phone on silent,
Stop
bro.
messaging yourself.
Turn your
So
phone
you
on
done
silent.
told Carl to text you so your phone is like,
Okay, so just let you
No, like every 5 seconds there, bring, I was like,
All right, guys, pay attention, please.
you right, son.
All right, so our topic is
Money team.
quadratic functions. Okay? And my name is,
Really?
this is not 8th period, it is 9th period.
Trying to
You
show
can't do
out.
paper like that.
They basically take me.
And my date is 11/10/14.
Why did I put 11?
Well, if she can write her name like that, that means
Why did I do that?
Okay. Our essential question is, how can I write a quadratic function and
Not missing.
understand all variables? All the variables? What would it be?
I think
Is it the?
yeah.
And what?
All the.
Does that understand? What is it? Where'd you get these at?
Say it with me, Ashley.
Alright, so we're going to start off with.
We're being recorded, by the way.
I thought you were doing high
Sorry.
five.
Actually, that's why I need to hear from us
Listen,
Alright, so.
wait, Michelle.
Yes.
Is this functions and what?
And understand all the variables. I had a paper. I had my notes on it.
Oh, she could have reached out first.
For class.
Y'all. No.
Alright, so here we go. So first form we're going to talk about is standard form. So if I gave y'all a quiz right now, would you be ready to pass it?
Yes.
On all 3 different forms?
Yes.
Well then why is there excess talking?
No, Ashley.
Okay. Alright, so the first form.
Pardon this interruption.
She don't want you to give us
Teachers, I do apologize for interrupting your instruction. However, we do have a need.
So the first form we're going to talk about is standard form. Okay? Standard form is when I have f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Recall? Yeah? We agree?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay? So my parent function in standard form would be f of x equals, oh wait, just so you can see where a would be, 1x squared plus 0x plus c, plus 0 as c. But what happens to those zeros and those ones? They don't count, they become invisible, right? Because there's no point of writing add a 0 or multiply by 1, so it would just become x squared, which is quadratic function. Okay? From standard form, there are things that you can tell right off the bat. Well, there's one thing you can tell right off the bat. Using standard form, you can identify your y-intercept. Okay? In standard form, your y-intercept is represented by 0, comma, whatever your c variable is. So right here in our parent function, what will be my y-intercept?
0.
0, 0. It's at the origin, which we already knew. Okay. Also in standard form, I can find my vertex. Okay. You find your vertex by plugging in the variables into.
Complex form.
It's not a complex formula.
Oh, it's complex.
We're going to do an example, which is going to make it less complex. Okay? You'll plug in your variables into the vertex rule.
You need it on parentheses.
Did I oh, I do. Good call there.
I really just did.
Okay? So, vertex can be identified by using negative b divided by 2a, and then from whatever I get from this, then I plug back into the function to find my y.
You show an example?
We are going to do that. I'm giving people a chance to write it down, sir.
Are you re-recording this?
Good. All right. So are we ready to do an example?
Is that 2A?
Right here? Yes. All right, Sarah, give me a number from 1 to 9. 5? I like it. All right, Jessica, give me a number, please.
2.
And Shelly.
1/2.
What's
Yes.
your whole number?
She wants to
1/4.
A whole number.
3.
7.
Okay. Okay, so there's our quadratic. 5x squared minus 2x plus 7. So from looking at this, I should be able to identify my y-intercept and find my vertex. Agree?
Intercept is
So,
0.7.
so my intercept is,
0.7.
all right. Why is it 0.7, Kayla?
Because it's the c variable and the c variable is 7.
All right, so looking at my c variable is 7. Next, I should be able to find my vertex. So vertex, first I find the x by doing what?
Negative 2x over 5.
Okay, so it's a negative 2 over 2 times what? A negative times a negative is a positive, and 2 times 5 is, which reduces to 1/5. So my x is 1/5. So once I know my x, I can plug in and solve for my y. So to find y equals, wherever x is, I'm plugging in 1/5. So 5 times 1/5 squared minus 2 times 1/5 plus 7. If I'm not a big fan of doing this by my hand, I always have my handy dandy.
Calculator.
There we go. So I'm going to go to my calculator, press the baby calc, and I have my baby calc
Where's the baby count?
underneath escape. So I'm going to put in 5 parentheses, control divide gives you my fraction, 1/5 squared. Is it minus, was it 2? 2? Parentheses, control divide, 1/5, and then
34.
plus 7.
34.
All right, so I get 34/5. Now the thing is, if I get 34/5, and I told you to graph 34/5, would you know how?
No.
So how do I change this into a decimal?
6.8.
Control, enter, gives me my, it won't give it to me.
You did put control enter.
I guess I did it. I am pressing it.
Then go to
Menu.
Press control.
Menu.
Press menu to.
Control, enter. It won't let me press control, enter from my keyboard.
Oh,
I have to press it up here.
that's so inconvenient.
It's so inconvenient, exactly. All right, so what is it? 6.8. So my y value is 6.8. How would I write 1/5? Anyone?
1/5.
How do I write 1/5 as a decimal?
0.2.
0.20, 0.2 is all correct. So where is my vertex?
At 0.2, 6.8.
We found it. So I found my y-intercept and my,
This
That's
question
fine.
should be on the quiz.
So I just remember.
it will be on your quiz.
Will be exactly.
It won't be the exact one.
I just remember why I didn't like this.
Why?
It's a lot of work.
Yes, Ash.
Why is it minus 2x when it's plus bx?
Oh, because it's a -2? It can be, the standard form is plus bx, but if I put a negative number in there, it's going to become minus. Yeah, I wrote minus 2x, so it's a -2. Good question, good question. Any more clarifying questions? How do we feel about standard form? Do we recall it a little bit? You just need a little more practice with it. Don't worry, you get it tomorrow. I know you're worried about not getting enough practice, but you get it tomorrow.
I feel like we took too much time.
No, we had a lot of, we had a delayed start. All right, so 2, our second method is vertex form. Okay, and we just reviewed vertex form. So vertex form is f of x what? Equals, sorry, a what?
Parentheses.
Uh-huh.
X minus h, parentheses, squared, plus
Beautiful.
parentheses, whatever.
Okay, and when I am a parent function, so the parent function form of this would be f of x equals 1 parentheses x minus 0 squared plus 0. However, the zeros and the ones are invisible because it's kind of silly to write ones and zeros, especially when I'm multiplying by a 1 and adding and subtracting a 0. So it just comes down to what, Carl? X squared. Okay? All right, so from here I have parts of it. I have different parts. The first part is the A. And what is A? If A is greater than 1, cause my function to do?
Compress vertically.
I'm going to stretch. When I'm greater than 1, it's a vertical stretch. Think about this. Think about when you're 1 year old. You know how you are a little kid and you may be a little chubby, but as you get taller, what happens? You slim out. You stretch out, right? Okay? So you start to stretch as that number gets greater than 1. No, it's not if it's less than 1. It's if A is, well, less than 1, but between, if A is between 0 and 1, it's a what? Compression.
Oh, I actually get what that means now. I didn't know what
What do you mean? So good.
Okay, so if I'm between 0 and 1, my function is, think about if I was going in reverse order, like think about, oh man, remember when I was like a baby, I was a little short and fat. So then you're like shrinking, and going back and back, saying, oh, I was short and chubby.
How was it?
I was.
I was short.
I was a chubby child.
So -1
I was too.
vertical.
So what happens when I'm a negative?
I look like Rick Ross.
Well, if I look at my calculator, what happened when we made A negative? There we go.
It's almost time to roll back.
We reflected over the, so when A is less than 0, it reflects over the, okay? So we're going to stop for here, right here for today. Tomorrow we're going to come in, have your notes out, and we're going to just keep going. Okay? I'm not.